Hey, business building warrior, it's Jim. Have another episode for you today. This one happens to be on YouTube. So if you're listening, just a little reminder that there's a link in the show notes today that can take you to a YouTube video where you can see our guest today, although that's not necessarily any good reason to do that unless you want to see two dudes just having a chat. But his name's Kyle Curtis. He's only been in our community a few months. This guy works 72 hours, let's say 70 plus hours a week at his real job. I'm using air quotes if you're not watching. And, it's a good job. He's got a good boss. His boss actually lets him use the internet a little bit to work on his business while he's at work. Sometimes he's kind of cool about that. But man, that's a lot of time away from your wife and young family. And he's feeling that heat a little bit of wanting to be around the house a little bit more. And he started building an Amazon business. In just 3 months, this business, he's set to sell about $20,000 this next coming full month. He's on pace for that. He ramped up super quickly. He used our coaching program and jumped in and got a coach, really ramped up fast. He's in the process of hiring a virtual assistant. You'll hear us call them VAs in the community, a virtual assistant. That's someone in the Philippines that is eagerly and excitedly finding new replens, new profitable products that he can buy off store shelves near him literally every single day, a good handful of new ones every single day. And they're working for just a few dollars per hour, which is a lot of money in that local economy. We covered that a little bit. We didn't even talk about homeschooling a little bit because he's starting to think about it. We had a little conversation about the Tampa event, the Proven Conference, and he makes one of the best pitches I think you'll ever hear for why you should go buy those videos, which are available at theprovenconference.com. He was truly motivated and excited by what he saw at that event. And since he's new to the community, we spent a little bit of time talking about what makes this community different, how he found us, and why he's so excited to be here. So he's truly excited about the future. He's done some incredible things in just a very short period of time. So I'm excited to spend some time with Mr. Kyle Curtis. I'll be introducing him to you here in just a moment. So Kyle, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's truly great to have you here, buddy. Let's get right into your story, man. I'm anxious to hear it.
Yeah, I started, honestly, my story is a little bit crazy because I've never been an online person at all. Like I got my first Amazon Prime membership like 4 months ago or something like that. Like I've never, ever bought anything online. So my story starts with me wanting to better my family. Right now, I currently work a full-time job where I work about 12 hours a day at a car dealership as a manager. And I was noticing, I'm making good money, but I wasn't making the kind of money to be able to retire or enjoy with my family or just get away from that toxic environment. And I had the opportunity come up where like an ad came up and said, hey, you can make money online. And I clicked it. It was those private label people. They confused me with Amazon. And
Yep.
Really, yeah, like you preach, the gurus, right? But I saved enough money and I was in part of the PAC community. I found your coaching program. I listened to the podcast and I'm like, you know what? I got to get into this. And here I am. We're like 3 months later. I'm about ready to have my 20K month. I'm on pace to do my 20K month. And that's kind of my background with no e-commerce experience whatsoever.
Wow. Okay. Let me unpack a few things. If I'm hearing your story for the first time, which I've heard bits and pieces of this already, you and I have corresponded, but let me just get everybody up to speed.
Sure.
So you said 12-hour days. Is that 5-6 days a week? And you're still doing that, correct?
6 days a week. Correct.
6 days a week, 12-hour days. And you're not speaking very highly of it. Is there any chance that people at work are going to see this?
No, it's not that it's such a stressful environment. I think everyone in retail can say deal with that when you're building face-to-face with customers. It can be tough. And then it's grueling on top of that with like the long hours. And my biggest thing is I didn't really have great parents or they weren't really in my life. And I've been able to accomplish one thing where I can make the money to give a lot of my kids a lot of things I never had growing up, because I grew up poor, but I'm not able to see them. And that's where I really feel like Amazon's going to be able to push me so I can stop and step back from that. And that's why I'm pushing it so hard. I'm taking
when you hear us say bringing dads home, that resonates with you.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Man, well, we want to help you make that happen, dude. Yeah. So, okay, doing the math, dude, that's like 70 plus hour weeks. Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
grind.
Yeah.
And you've managed to build an Amazon business in a very
Mhm.
short period of time. I didn't realize you were a coaching student. Who was your coach? Which coach did you get?
I listened to one of your podcasts where it was the replens because that's what everyone kept saying. I didn't know anything about it.
Oh, sure.
Remember
We've got
4
several
months ago?
replens coaches.
Oh, it was Carl that did it, but I listened to your
Okay.
podcast that ended up telling me about it. And I said,
Right.
I don't care the cost. I want to hit the ground running and go.
Yeah.
As I mentioned
That's the
before.
way to go. Yeah. We
Yeah,
can do our intensive short term, or you carve out, what did you carve out 3 or 4 days and just plowed through it, right?
100%. Yeah. I used my vacation time just because I wanted to learn how to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I take this stuff very seriously. I mean, that's a serious time commitment. You're a guy, obviously, who takes his schedule seriously. You take providing for your family seriously. You do things, you go all in fast. And people have different personality types. We've dealt with all different. But, you've got a certain personality type. And I feel a great weight of responsibility with someone like you, because you're like, you know what? Here's my checkbook. Tell me what check to write. Let's go. I'm going to carve out time. Like, I only get 2 weeks a year, dude. So, I'm taking this serious, but man, here's one of those weeks. Let's do it now. I take that seriously. And I love that. I didn't realize I knew some of your story, but not that much. So here we are 3 months in, and, fill in some gaps. How's it going so far? You mentioned it. You're about to have a $20,000 a month, you said?
Yes. So right off the bat, Carl set us up for success. We knew exactly how to do replans, how to search for them. We didn't know what Rev Seller, Inventory Lab, anything is. So we were in the same boat most people who come in the community are at, right?
Right. Completely green.
Yeah, completely green, but he hit the ground running. And I didn't realize as soon as you do this, like how easy it can be if you set your certain parameters. And I get a lot of people who message me after I post things. They say, hey, I'm having a hard time finding the $5 items that are profit in this, but I don't really follow that. And I may be getting off tangent here a little bit. I know that you say you do that too, but but I find all different kinds of profitable items, but weight's the biggest thing that's important to me. If I can make $1 on one item and I can put like 100 of them in a box, like I'll do that. Like a pack of gum I sell. I can make like $300 on packing these and they sell great. And I think a lot of people get caught up on that. Like I have a lot of people ask me, I have 10 one lady asked me, I have 10 replens and I don't know how to source them. They're like impossible for me. And I asked her, she's going through and she's like, well, everyone's saying do $5 profit minimums and this and that. There's just so much that people get hung up on. That's where coaching, I think, really helped us accelerate past that too.
Yeah, sure. You're talking about setting your parameters of what's a good product, what isn't. If you stretch that open a little bit, yeah, you can. I'm very happy to make $1 once everything's said and done.
Yeah,
why not? It's profit, right? But I think the reason we like to tell new people, especially, is like try to make at least $5 per sale. So there's some cushion in there. You don't look at your numbers 3 months in and go, wait a second. I didn't calculate all my expenses, so now I'm kind of breaking even or underwater. That's where we kind of encourage that higher benchmark. But once you're good at it, you can find replens very quickly. So How many replens total have you found? I mean, it breaks my heart to hear someone's only found 10.
Yeah, I know yeah, exactly. I'm at, I have to guess because I have a virtual assistant. I know you know this. I have a virtual assistant and she has probably about 150 replens for me to check. I just haven't had the time. And I have about 100 active. So I could potentially have 250 after I go through all of her replens that she's found for me as well.
Sure. How many of your current replens has she found? Has she responsible for any of your winners yet?
Most of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I taught her everything because that's what I do. Like you talked about before, you write the check, you say, here you go. Mm-hmm. I got it. I learned it. I feel like I could teach someone else. I taught her and she's off, and it allows me to still focus on my family. And then now I just spend 3 hours a night packing on top of that after I get home from work.
And hire someone to do that. And you've got an autopilot business
and that's exactly
putting tape on boxes does not require the kind of skills. You could free up your time. That's hanging out with the kids' time from you very soon. It sounds
exactly
like beautiful. Wow, this is so you're on the borderline. Let's to be transparent, maybe a couple hundred ASINs, about 3 months in.
Yeah.
And about to hit a $20,000 a month. What is the margin on that? And what are the parameters that you're going for, like ROI margin? Where are you playing around?
I try to stick, and we talked about this as coaches when I did it. He said somewhere around 50%.
ROI.
ROI, correct. I would have to say now, when I look at Sellerboard, I use Sellerboard, which I know I watched your podcast. That was really good.
silentjim.com/numbers. It helps you keep track of all your numbers. Sellerboard, it's a good tool.
Yes. Awesome. And it's fantastic. They say I'm right around 70%. I think it was 69% ROI. And then it was right around 22% profit. But I don't have them calculate my shipping because it throws off their orders, like how much they tell me an item's profitable.
Yeah. So once you pull that out, you're probably a little less. You're around 17, 18%, something like that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. So for the amount of time you're putting in and what you're getting back, how are you feeling so far?
I'm looking at a long-term goal. Amazon definitely isn't a I know you've said this too, get rich quick scheme or anything like that. You have to really work. I think Oscar's the one who said it when I went to the Proven conference. It was like 80% of it's just hard work. But then once you get going and you have the ability to hire people and you look at that big picture, unless you just want to make a small amount of income, then for me, I feel like it's worth it. I feel like 2-3 months from now, I'm going to be making almost what I did at the car dealership. And
you're ramping into it. You're going full speed ahead.
Yeah.
Ramping up fast. And you're on a nice trajectory. A lot of those fixed costs of the initial learning curve and picking up some of the tools and, mainly time spent figuring out the process, you're already over that hump. So your numbers are going to climb in a beautiful way, especially you've got a VA. I want to dig into that just a little bit more because we've heard a couple times, and we've actually done that ourselves just this week, is we've got a VA who's, we just take pictures of store shelves. Now, for us, ideally, it's not the same store shelves that everybody else has access to. It's more the local, regional, stores that have fewer than, say, 100 stores in the U.S. or fewer than 200 in the U.S., not a Walmart necessarily. Although, I'm telling you this right now, man, put me in any Walmart in the United States, give me 2 hours, I will come out with
100%.
30 profitable replens easily. And half of them will still be around a year from now, at least.
True. It's crazy because sometimes you drop off. A lot of people have complaints of the price tanking. But what I've noticed is that people will send in, you'll see the jump in buyers, and then you'll freeze. You just have to freeze your stuff because eventually people are it's like playing chicken in cars, right?
Yep.
There's going to be someone that drops the price, wants to get rid of their stuff, just wants to bail out. And a lot of people freak out. But then I'll go back and I've checked a lot of those I jumped out of a month ago or so, and they're right back to being profitable again.
Yeah, within a month. Literally, if we put them on the calendar, a couple of months later, we check, and more often than not, if it was good once, it'll be good again soon.
Oh, 100%.
You can just sit on them, they're going to be profitable again. So that's where it's nice to have stuff that doesn't necessarily expire. You can get into the food, and we've learned some hard lessons there, especially the food that expires quickly and that price tanks. What do you do? Well, you bring it home and you eat it.
Yes.
Give it to a food pantry, man.
Oh my gosh.
Try some new foods that you never tried before, right?
I donate. I take it to my work. I bought these Jack's Leaks beef jerky. Oh my gosh. And I didn't check the expiration date and just went had a whole case of, I spent $200 on it. And instead of shipping it all the way back to this wholesaler, I'm like, no. Everyone at work enjoyed it.
Stocking stuffers for Christmas, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, you get creative. And have some fun. Well, so what are you doing to ramp? You're the kind of guy, even today, before we hit the record button, you're like, all right, Jim, I carved the whole day out for you, man. That's a big deal for you. You're a guy putting in 70 plus hours a week, ramping up a business. What is this, a day off, a vacation day? How'd you pull this off?
I get 4 days off guaranteed a month. I chose this one to be one, and I'm using it simultaneously to train the person that I just hired. I just hired the full-time employee. And I kept watching my watch. I'm like, okay, I got to meet with Jim. And then, so now my wife's taking over inside, but,
then back to it. So you've got your first full-time, so you've got a VA. Talk us through that process. So I want to talk with the person you just hired and the VA that you've got working for you. Fill in some details. How'd you do that? How'd you pull it off? What resources did you use?
For the VA, it was actually really simple. I mean, I got lucky. I hired a lot. I mean, I went through a lot of interviews, and I like to find someone who can understand me really well. That's one of my key things is the English. I think you might have hit that in one of your posts as well on our group, but I want to make sure they understand and then follow directions. Because I'm going to take pictures just like you. I put pictures on there. And I do remote desktop, so they have access to everything in my local prices. I give them complete access. I bought a laptop that's just theirs. It sits on a computer or on a table, and they log in every night and search stuff just like that. They'll go through the store shelves and find things based on my ROI, how many drops I want. She's phenomenal. She finds like 10, 15 a month or a day or at night for me. And I would say based off, if I have to take out multiples and things I'm not engaged in yet and stuff like that, little stuff, I probably get about 5 to 8 a day from her, real replens that I'm reordering already.
And the beauty of it is it's off local store shelves. These are pictures from local store shelves. So you know that you can go source this stuff.
It's crazy. One of the things that I know I'd be telling you right now, I'd be at 30K if I could keep inventory in stock. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, right. Having a shopper who's willing to just go full time and that's all they do for you may be a good next step. We're in the process of, that's the bottleneck for us right now is just a shopper. We've got so many great replens. We need more people that can consistently shop. It seems like when one shopper goes down, 2, 3, 4 shoppers go down because it's a part-time thing for all of them, myself included. After this interview, I'm very likely to get in my car and like, there's $50 bills sitting all over this town. I'm going to go out and put some in my car, dude. I don't know if I can just relax and watch a ball game if I got $50 bills sitting all over my town. So that becomes a challenge, at some point. Once you're so good at finding the replens and you can find more anytime you want. And here you are, you're new student, you're new to e-commerce. In
Amazon for 3 months, man.
Yeah.
Prime count for 4.
Mm-hmm. That's just incredible. You're a go-getter. Tell me, and I'm going to talk more about the employees, but for some reason I'm going to skip back, talk about jumping around here a little bit. Like, what's your routine? What time do you get up in the morning? And what's your day look like?
Oh my gosh, it's grueling. So I get up at probably 7 o'clock in the morning. I have to wake my daughter up, feed her, get her dressed, everything, get her to daycare by 8:30. I'll be at work shortly after that, maybe 10, 15 minutes. And I'm there until about 8 o'clock at night. So that's about it. Sometimes I'm there a little bit later. And then I come home and I like to carve out. My wife's cool. She lets the kids stay up a little late. I know some people are like against that, but at least I get to see them, right? And I hang out with them for 2 hours, then they go to bed, and then I lock myself into a bedroom that we have that's just, we redid for this, and just pack all night, like probably till 3 o'clock in the morning, and I go back, another 4 hours of sleep. And now the problem is why I hired the person is because they caught me. I fell asleep at my desk at work.
Wow.
So I was like, you know what? I gotta.
Yeah. So if I was your counselor, I'd be like, have we ever talked about sustainable and unsustainable, Kyle?
I didn't want to burn myself out because I know that would be the next thing.
Yeah, exactly. You just use caution there, but it's truly impressive what's possible and what you've accomplished. Very impressive. Long term, a year from now, this will be a very different interview if you stay on this course. So you've got to make some changes somewhere for sure. Is there any way to get you to taper back the hours at work as you ramp this up? Or like, what are the next steps for you before we talk about your employees? I haven't forgotten about that topic.
I'm thinking that's a great question because I'm hoping I can fully automate it between my employee I'm hiring now, my wife who's going to be here, but we have an infant. So she's always has her hands full.
Sure.
And my VA. Hopefully I can get it all fully automated. Now, there's a lot of downtime at my work when we don't have people buying cars. So my boss, the cool thing about my boss is he's really okay with me doing this. He says, you know what, you can go ahead and order your stuff. So I would always order it online, have it shipped to my house, things like that. So I can work on the business a couple hours there. So maybe I can scale back. That would be hopefully an ideal, but
Yeah. I was just curious what the plan was. And again, we love you, boss. You're awesome, man. Thanks for being flexible, right? But I love seeing families build their schedule in such a way that they can just, be present, be together, and stick around with me long enough. I'll talk you guys into homeschooling too, but that's a different subject for a different.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Absolutely.
Because, there's so many benefits there. We've done it. Our oldest is 24 now. Our youngest, who's just getting back from horse lessons. I just saw her walk past my window out here. She's 14 and we've done it for quite some time. And just the benefits of having them under the roof where business happens, life happens, It's not so much about balance anymore. It's more about blending it all together.
You see such a huge
You're
difference.
just there. When my office
I
doors open, my family knows, hey, come on in. When it's shut, Dad's recording with a cool dude like Kyle.
yeah.
So, unless it's an emergency, we're not going to pound the door down. And, that's really the only family rule we have. And I'm able to be here. And I can get a sense like that's kind of that's your preferred thing. You're trying to get there.
Yeah. I was so impressed when I went to the Proven conference, that your family, I mean, just how far they've come. And I didn't know that you guys homeschool, which is really cool. If that's the reason why, that's impressive. But it was Trey, right, that has a multi-million-dollar business already.
Trey presented, yeah, he's grown quite a business. He's got a multi-million-dollar consulting agency, and several people from our community are using his services. And we're doing some projects together that we'll be announcing soon. We're excited about for sure.
I mean, they're just so, I don't know. They're just, you can tell that they're growing up great. Like, that they have.
Thank you, man.
Drive. And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to say, like, if homeschooling actually does that, that's
100% does that. Yeah. Well, I mean, since we're on the subject, just two dudes chatting, right? Sometimes people will ask me, Kyle, they'll say, man, how do you homeschool 5? That just sounds like a lot of work. That sounds so hard. And I have two things that I respond to that. And I'm being completely serious as I say these things. One of them is, I don't know how people who use the public system do it, to be honest with you, because parents are responsible for the education of their children. 100%. If we can agree on that, like ultimately you're responsible. So if I'm responsible, not only do I have to track everything they're learning in the school building, then when they get home, I've got to make sure that it resonates with my worldview and is taking them in life where I want them to go. I also have to make sure and add on anything that's missing and unlearn anything that's not right, which our culture right now, most people would agree, is in decline in many significant ways. Like, you got to compensate for all, like, you know what? How about I just keep all the junk out of their head and give them the stuff they really need at home? And it's just really not that much. I mean, and if you'd be amazed, the one-on-one attention time with siblings in the room working together, how much you can cover so quickly. A couple hours a day, and we are blowing away any public school system setting or private school setting.
Yeah. I wonder if, like me, I think my biggest fear would be having the confidence to do that. Like, am I good enough?
Oh, we hear it all the time.
Yeah. I think that's probably most of the objection all the time.
That is one of the most common, the one that we hear typically, if people are being truly transparent, is, what about socialization? Like, what do you do that? I'm telling you, there's so many opportunities, homeschool sports and friend groups, and the kids are plugged into the business, interacting with adults. I mean, you saw at the event, there are quite a few homeschool families there. 8, 9, 10-year-olds, 14-year-olds that'll walk up and shake your hand and look you in the eye and like, whoa, what planet's this kid from?
100%.
Right? I mean, because you have time to work on those skills, right? And the things that we truly value as a family. And it's just not a long list of things that you got to hit to really educate and prepare a child for adulthood. And I would argue the school system spent a lot of time on stuff that just doesn't really totally matter. Like, you talked about my son, Trey, his take on college and school and all that is like, why wait for someone else to tell you what books to read? Right.
Oh, I know.
I'm just going to go read the great books and start doing it. Right. So you got another kid who started a business and a landscaping business and more clients than he can take care of, as an 18-year-old. The world out there is just waiting for people really ready to work. You don't have to wait till in your mid-20s and a couple $100,000 in debt to hit the world running, So we got an advantage, I think, from that perspective.
You do. Absolutely.
Kids are off and running faster and building businesses. And not that they have to be business owners, but
for sure.
Yeah. But I maybe we've had a lot of people requests. I imagine that this episode too will spark that again. Like, hey, I want you guys to talk more about homeschooling. Andrew and I were talking just this morning, my wife, about starting a group where we address what's it like to do family, business, homeschool all under the same roof, juggling all those pieces. And it's really, I look at the people around me who are doing it the other way, and I think they have a much harder road than we do. It's come together, not that it doesn't have its rough edges, but
yeah, for sure.
It's a blessing, for sure. Thanks for asking about all that, man. And thanks for the cool things you said about the conference and the family. And
yeah, it was phenomenal. I learned so much from that conference.
Yeah, go ahead.
What
else were you going to say?
No, I was just saying I learned so much from that conference.
Oh, yeah. It was incredible. And to experience it live is completely different than just watching the content.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
okay, let's get back to the people you hired. You talked about your VA, talked about the person you've hired on full time. How'd you find that person? They're actually at your house right now, you said, right?
Yes.
The first
Yes.
time?
Yes. I did the same thing I do with my VAs when I'm searching for them. I know you do the same thing where you say, hey, comment your favorite color or something like that. So, they read through everything.
Right.
I posted on Indeed.com and I said, this is what I'm doing. I'm growing so fast. I'm looking to get a warehouse. Like I told them, I just basically put the whole thing, like by the end of the year, I'm looking for these goals. And if you want to join me, like I'm looking for someone full-time commitment, blah, blah, blah. And one of the questions I said was, what interests you most about my business? I had about 40 applicants over the weekend and probably 10 of them answered the question. You know what I mean? So it gave me confidence. And that's where I found her. She's like, I'm growing into e-commerce. I know TikTok, which I have no idea what that is. And
borderline useless as an Amazon seller. But yeah, keep your kids off of it. That's my tip.
No, it's so crazy. We went into Walmart today and she's like, oh my gosh, they found this thing. It's some guy advertising on TikTok for Amazon. And we looked at Keepa and stuff and it's selling. So I'm like, all right, let's just grab it and try it.
I love it.
But maybe she'll teach me some stuff. That's what I'm hoping. But
sure,
she was really into this business. She kind of understood wholesale and all that stuff. And she's 18. And you know what I mean? She's ambitious. Has a very, and that's how I found her. And I mean, I gave her the option. Like I kept kind of quizzing her to see what she wants to do. Like today we kind of got done shopping. So I'm like, well, if you want to help me set up the garage, you can for, because that's where she's going to work. I just put an AC unit in there. And then she's like, or you can go home and enjoy the rest of your day. She's like, I'll stay.
Let's keep rocking.
Yeah.
You found a winner. What are you paying her, just out of curiosity? What's the arrangement?
I'm doing $11 an hour, but right now she's sitting at the computer. We're teaching her how to find replens because I'm going to pay her 20% profit on anything that I take off anything she finds.
Day one, man, you're a rocket.
She can handle it.
Like I like to say, if you're a stock, I'm buying, man, because you're doing all the right things. You're hitting it hard. Yeah, I would caution you seriously. I hope your Sundays are just laying around doing nothing, hanging with the family, man, because you need that to be sustainable at all. What you're doing, you really, truly need that. Just, dad to dad, you're going to, 3 months of what you're doing is going to be too much. 3 months.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that when she gets up and running, that'll at least allow me to take a breather at my full-time job. I can kind of manage that. And when I get home, I can completely work on the family and go to bed. Not have to worry about packing. And she'll hopefully have that all handled for me.
Beautiful. Yeah, you're very close to it. You haven't been afraid to hire people. That's a good first step. What are you paying your VA? We haven't talked about that. And what country are they from?
Philippines.
Okay.
I'm paying her. I started at $3 an hour, but she's killing it. And when she told me that she was so far behind on her bills, and like she said that she got unemployed for 3 months, she was with someone from Amazon, and I guess the VA competition is really intense there. She said that she was like 3 months behind in her bills, so I ended up paying her bills for her without her asking. I just sent it to her in a paycheck.
Wow!
Because it wasn't much. Because if you think about it, like they're Philippines, it's like $200, but that's 3 months for them.
Yeah, that's significant money.
Yeah, sure. She has a family and apparently like she's widowed and stuff. But so I paid that. And so I decided to up her to $4 an hour and I made it fun. I'm like, well, let's have a competition. For every day I beat you at replens, like finding them, I won't pay you like an extra, but if you beat me, I'll pay you an extra $5. And truth be told, I haven't found a single replen for a month. So she's been winning.
She's been winning every day.
She wins every day. Bonus. So I just give her a little bonus and she's excited.
What occurs to me, Kyle, as you're sharing that stories, man, just how incredibly blessed we are to be able to change someone's life for a few dollars in a significant way, right? I'm not talking about donating to a charity. We're not sure where it's ending up. We're talking about like you're building a relationship with this person and she's working hard for you. And that money, that $4 an hour, just so everyone understands, if you haven't heard us say it before, you have to multiply it by, 5 to 10 times to get how it spends in the Philippines. Like that's a lot of money. $4 an hour is $20 to $40 an hour, depending on how they spend it in the local economy. So that's not a bad gig, but we're just so blessed, right? That we get to use resources like that. And I recently applied, and I don't like to tell people what website to use to search for VAs because there's so many. I haven't run. If you go to Google and say, "Hey, I want to hire a VA," there's so many great ones out there. So I don't want people to get thinking, "Oh, I want to use the one that he uses." But we got 800 applications in 24 hours when I posted. for someone to do some shopping activities for us. And let's throw a couple tips out there for people, because I think some people, we've had this as a theme recently. And you talked about that Facebook post that I made. We'll stick a link to it in the show notes so you can go see the discussion. But basically, like you said, you want to put a little test in there. And a test I like to use is an audio message from me, not necessarily a video, because that can be too big of a file. And sometimes the sites won't let you upload a big file as part of the process. But upload an audio file of you saying, the first thing you want to say is, I need you to listen to this entire message. And then you describe what it is you want them to do. Then at the end, you say, as proof that you've listened to this entire message, when you respond in your written response, I need the very first line, the title or the line, first line of copy to be, and you say a magic phrase, whatever it is. And if you're scrolling through those hundreds of applications and you don't see that phrase, they didn't listen, or they don't understand English, or maybe they didn't pay attention to detail. It's a great way to narrow that list down dramatically, right?
Oh, totally.
Right? Which is a huge help. So instantly you're dealing only with the people that paid attention, they can understand English well, and they followed instructions. So yeah, that's just a little tip. But then it's just a matter, I love within 3 months, another thing that jumps out at me, we kind of breezed past it. Within 3 months, you're at a point where you're able to train people on all the aspects of this business.
Yeah, can you believe how much of an expert I am?
Yeah, well, you kind of are. Now, there's always more to learn. Always more to learn.
Oh, totally.
If you and I sat down with Keepa and went to a Walmart right now, I could blow your mind with a few things that I do and things I've learned over the years. And you probably discovered some things already that I'd be like, whoa, wait, I never knew that was there. Like the new people discover all the cool. You're not afraid to click the buttons and try things, So I'm stuck in my ways, set in my ways, but there's always more to learn. But you've picked up enough that you've built a pretty incredible business. So kudos to you, man.
Absolutely,
it's beautiful. So talk me through the story of your VA now. Like, what did you say that they were going to be doing, and how long did it take you to hire them? Just talk, because some people who've never done that process before.
So I hire in my job as it is now, and I have very low turnover. So I think I have a really decent judge of character. So when I talked to her, I had the applications go out, and I probably interviewed 3 people. It wasn't very many. And it was her. And she was just so upbeat and enthusiastic about it and wanting to learn. And that I just felt like it was the perfect fit. Like, she didn't have too much of an Amazon history. I guess in the Philippines, they have some university they go to. And it sounds like a lot of them go to this university to learn Amazon. But that's all she really had. And I said, hey, if you're willing to learn, I'll do it. I spent maybe 3-4 hours training her instead of packing my boxes. And it was well worth it. I mean, I log in and she has so many things on there for me every day. And, she's well worth the money.
And pretty soon she'll be trained to the point where she's finding them better than you are.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because you can tell her, hey, we rejected this one for this reason. It's meltable and we can't do that right now. Like, oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Right. And so, yeah, she's going to be better at it than you ever were, just like putting boxes on tape or any other aspect of your business.
And people absolutely. And people like you and I, we think about like what our money will do for us. Like, we think, hey, you know what, if I spend $500 a month on a VA, what's going to be my overall outcome 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road?
Right.
And now that, now I'm making my money. I mean, it's paying it off every month just for what she does.
Oh, she pays for herself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Multiple times over. So you can start to envision a team where she's the manager and there's 5 or 6 people doing these things, and they're placing the orders online too for anything that can be ordered online, and sending them to your preppers' homes who live around you, and it's being delivered on their porch. And like, whoa, it's you can start to scale this in your mind.
It's insane.
You think about it with an entrepreneur's hat on instead of, I've got to find something to sell so I can make $20 on an item I bought for $5. But start thinking about it from a business owner's perspective, which you've been forced to do very quickly because your time is limited. And man, congratulations. This is quite a story. What else do you want to share with the people who are listening? Any other tips or strategies or any part of your story? I know you feel like you're new to all of this, but you really do have quite a bit of experience in these short 3 months.
I do. I mean, all I can tell people is that like they shouldn't get frustrated or stressed, because there was a point, and I think I made a comment on it on a post before, where I was so disappointed that I spent hours and hours. Carl made us find 30 replens, I think, when we were going through training in like one day. And that sounds like a lot because you listen to Jimmy, he's like, oh, just get like a few a day, whatever, and you'll add up. And we had to find 30, and my wife was just finding them left and right. Like, oh, look at this. And I was just sitting there for hours, man. And I'm like, no, is it the wrong store? Is it me? I started questioning everything. Is it these guys getting it cheaper? Like, what am I doing? And long story short, I ended up, actually, I listened to your podcast. You had a guy on there that mentioned that he is in the Army, and he went into the store and picked up an item at Walmart that he even told us what it was. So if anyone wants to listen, but he told us what it was. And I did the same thing. I'm like, you know what? I thought back to that. I've taken a break. I'm going to do that. I typed it in. I found like 10 replens. Then I went and I started searching pack of varieties. I went more and more and more. So by the end of the night, gosh, I was like the expert. Like I knew exactly what I was doing. I found my groove. And that's what I say is just people just can't get frustrated. You can't get hung up on it and just quit. If you need to walk away, clear your mind, because as soon as you have that aha moment and you know what you're looking for, like you'll find them everywhere. Like I bet you and I are very similar, where we can walk down an aisle right now and I can say, oh my gosh, I know that item right there probably has an ASIN that I can make some money on. Let me scan.
Yeah. Almost all items do.
Yeah.
Because if it's price tanking right now, give it a couple months and it'll be back to a solid ASIN. The reason it's on a retail shelf is because a lot of people buy that thing. And there just aren't enough people doing this business at this point. People who say it's saturated, they're nuts.
It's not. I can't keep anything in stock, man. I had 1,000 items in Amazon. I took a week off just to prep for my garage, and I'm down to like 400 items. I'm like, no, I got to get it going.
Yeah, once you know how to find the winners, they're just everywhere. What a fun business that you can scale. You get to hire and train a team and do it from home. You can see why we're so bullish on this business opportunity. I mean, I've been doing e-commerce for 20 years, and I haven't seen anything like this come along where it's the closest thing that I've ever been able to say, hey, if you're willing to do the work, I can get you there. Let us show you how this works. We can get you there, whether it's the Proven Amazon course or you took our intensive coaching. I'll stick links to both of those. Work at your own pace. Maybe it takes you, I've seen it take people 6 months to kind of ramp up and slowly figure it out. Then you got guys like you that's like, hey, here's a blank check. I want to be going tomorrow. Like, what do you got? Right. So we got something for everything in between. But if you follow the steps we teach, this works. And even international, doesn't that just blow your mind, Kyle?
Yeah.
You've got people in other countries doing this, man. And how inspirational is that? I was just texting one of them earlier today, just from another country, doing the same thing that you and I are talking about doing. They're shopping in the U.S. and sending it to a prepper in the U.S. and it's going to Amazon and they're getting paid.
Gosh,
Slovakia, right? Like, find that on a globe real quick, right?
Yeah.
There's no Amazon there, but he's buying and selling in the US all day, every day. So it's international too. Just blows my mind, man. The opportunity is just so expansive.
And when you say like just the replens, there's so much to Amazon. At the Proven Amazon conference, you had, I forget her name. It was like Delia or something like that.
Yeah.
Delia. Oh my gosh. Blows your mind. If anyone buys the thing and watches her, it's worth it just for that.
Theprovenconference.com. Yeah, the videos are on sale now. Thanks for the plug. But yeah, I haven't even seen her session yet.
You haven't?
She's on our team. Oh, not yet. It's all kinds of creative. I was so busy at the event. I'm only halfway through the content. She's brilliant. Talking about the private label.
Oh my gosh.
Just
I
on
the
the mugs, right? Did she teach you guys what she does with mugs?
Yes. I had no idea what I was walking into. I was like, I don't really think I should like overload myself with the stuff. And bam, got that. And then you got Rich Potter talking about wholesale. And I got with him afterwards and I'm like, you're where I want to be in like a year or two. So like, you have to be my mentor.
Yeah, there's no reason you can't get there. And Rich, you can listen to, I think he's been Rich and Shelly been on the podcast 3 times now. And you can kind of go back and see the history when they were getting excited and having their first $1,000 month and trying to decide if they want to do this full time or not. And slowly taking those next steps, again, with an entrepreneur's hat. You got your Miami Dolphins hat on, which I'm very sorry to see that, actually, to be honest with you.
It's actually just because I'm outside.
Okay.
You're a Colts fan? Colts fan?
Oh. But
one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Sad memories of Vinatieri back there, man, in the day, kind of killing my Colts. But you got to wear that entrepreneurial hat. in step way, you think of it as a business owner. And I love how you said, like, we know where to put our money so that it benefits us later. And if you can think about this business that way, you can really scale something special very, very quickly. And that's what I think the Potters have done. They look at it as, they've approached this as a business.
Absolutely.
So you got to take it serious. It's not a hobby. It's not a little extra money for the weekend. It can be that, but if you look at it as a business, a real business, you can build something truly special very, very quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are the lessons pop to mind? I mean, you've done a lot of hiring. You've been in business. You're good at reading people. The guys who I think are really good at reading people are the guys that work at pawn shops and car dealerships.
Yeah, that's what we have to do. We get lied to so much.
You got to get good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So what's your take on this community as a guy who knows people, and you were at the event, give us some observations.
My gosh, it's amazing. So when I looked for a community to join, because I wanted to join something, there were so many choices out there. And I think I found a review about the Proven Amazon, the pack to train to get into Amazon, because I knew nothing about Amazon.
Right.
And the only knock they said is that, like, apparently they expected you to do all the training videos, you to do them all. So, like, that was like the only knock they said, is that there's all these other people doing them. And I was like, whatever, all right, I'm going to join it. And I joined the base community that was free, right? Super cool. Everyone's helping each other. And then, heck, I think I even messaged you and you're like, hey man, welcome. And I was like, that's cool. And then I started listening to podcasts, and then I started feeling like for the success stories, and you could just see that there was actually true camaraderie and everyone was helping each other versus like a lot of the other ones that I was seeing and hearing about. So I think the community is fantastic. I think everyone has each other's backs, and they know, I mean, we are selling against each other in a lot of aspects, and we're still there to help each other.
There's plenty of people in the community. I just love these stories where they find ASINs and they text their group. They got a group of 4 or 5 of them, and they just kind of, there's no price fixing, Mr. Government. Please don't come get mad at us. But they just say, hey, here's a good ASIN. You should go check it out. They're sharing those ASINs, and why not? It's selling a couple hundred units a month. There's only 3 or 4 of us selling it. Hey, come on in, one more. What's the harm? There's a lot of that, like truly lifelong relationships and friendships. And so you got a little taste of that as a new guy in the community. I was just curious especially like while you were there among them too, like in Tampa, it's a pretty family friendly vibe, right?
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I sat next to people, and there's always that nervous thing. So I came by myself. My wife couldn't make it. And I'm like, should I say hi? What should I do? So I looked over and I greeted this one guy. I found out he's doing $4.5 million wholesale a year. And the other guy to my right does $1 million in replens. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can learn so much just between people.
Yeah.
And then you can personally go up to every single person that we look up to in the community, like yourself and Nate Bailey, and talk to them. Like, Jimmy's right there. You can go and pick his brain at any time and just be like, hey. And it really felt like a really close, open family. I mean, I can't tell you how many, when I look back, maybe even stupid questions I asked Jimmy in private message, and he always, like, he'll record me voice messages to answer them. He'll write me, like, it's such a cool community. You do it as well, and I know you're super busy.
Yeah, well, thank you. But, it's intentional, because we see that as more as a way to make money and build our own businesses. We really do see this, Kyle, and this kind of goes back to the homeschool comments I was making a little while ago. Me personally, I'm scared for the direction our country's heading, a little nervous at the cultural decline that I see, and we need more entrepreneurs. We need to keep this entrepreneurial spirit. This, 80% of our economy is small businesses, and those guys we've been getting pounded. That's why I call us business building warriors. Like, we got to stick together, man. We've got to have more entrepreneurs. You need more kids being raised up with an entrepreneurial spirit, starting businesses, using the internet creatively. So it's kind of a mission to us. You've heard me call it maybe even a ministry. Like, we take this stuff seriously. So I think that vibe filters out to like, we're going to make money because the stuff we teach works, but we need community, and we're on a bigger mission than just, making sure my family makes a better salary than I could if I had a 9-to-5 gig. It's bigger to us than that. So
the only thing I can't get Jimmy to answer is what his best replens are. So maybe that's the stupid question.
But I can tell you this: he does have a circle of buddies that they do some cool stuff together and swap NASINs and all that. So those guys that you kind of get to know, the longer you're around, the more you get to know guys. I've got coaching students from time to time. I'll find a cool ASIN. And I was like, hey, how you been, man? Just checking in. Want to make sure you're doing all right. Here's an ASIN you should go check out. I know you have one of these stores near you. So it just,
That's cool.
it's an open-handed community in that way. But what else do you want to share, man? Anything else that you've got on your mind, or do you think that might bring some value to some of the new folks hanging out with us?
No, I mean, my biggest thing is just don't give up. I've noticed that's the one thing I get when I post my successes. Most people ask me the same thing, like, how are you finding your replens, things like that. Mm-hmm. You just gotta get on a roll. Now, if you can, and I know I'm not trying to advertise for it, but coaching is gonna get you there fast. Like, it's gonna fast track you if you can take it. If you can't, then there's people in the community like ourselves that will still do everything we can to help you. I would love to. One of my ultimate goals would be to be a coach in the community at some time, because I'd love to be able to help build people, build them up.
That's awesome.
Grow the community. But
I'd love to hear that. Yeah. And you've heard the only two requirements that we have for coaches. Have you heard me talk about that before?
Mm-mm.
Just two things. And we've built, and a premise behind this philosophy, and I think you might appreciate this as a guy who's hired a lot of people. And tell me if this resonates with you. It actually comes from some Hebrew biblical principles. But if the only thing I know about you, Kyle, like we'd never met, but the only thing I know about you is you've built a successful business. Not that you're a Miami fan. If that's the only thing I know, then it's game over, man. As he points to his Miami Dolphins hat. We probably should say that for the audio listeners. But if the only thing I know about you is you've built a successful business over a significant period of time, serving happy customers who had good transactions, meaning they liked what they bought 6 months after the fact. Is a good way to measure a good transaction, right? That's all I know. I know nothing about you, male, female, educational status, where you live in the world, nothing else. You are, in my book, a safe bet, because the skill set it requires to serve others well enough that they're paying you and you're profiting enough that you can continue serving others well. That's a skill set that's significant. It takes a lot of character. It takes a lot of sacrifice, perseverance, all those qualities that go into making what most people would consider a good person. So all I know is you've run a profitable business. Well, that tells me a lot about you. And the other thing is, do you have a teacher's heart? So when it comes to our coaching program, and we're looking for two things. One is, are you running a profitable business? Can you put your money where your mouth is? Are you actually doing what it takes to make some money online? If you got that one nailed down, all right, you're a safe bet in my book. Two, do you have a teacher's heart? And that comes out in the way that you interact with others, answer questions in the forum, that sort of thing, without any interview process needed. In many cases, some of our coaches have been people that I've only met maybe once, twice, talked to on the phone briefly. That's it. We don't have any intense interview process. We just know that they have those two things. And it is a phenomenal recruiting process. Just a phenomenal recruiting process that relies heavily on us being good at what we do and teach. Because if we're not, it dries up real fast. If we're not producing guys like you that are actually getting results, well, there goes step number one, because they're not building successful businesses, right? So what do you think of that process, man? How's that hit you?
Oh, I think it's a winner. Absolutely. I mean, it's worked really well.
Yeah. Over the years, we've probably had 60 coaches. About 30 of them are with us right now. People move on different seasons of life. They get too busy. They're making too much money, and we don't want to have a coaching program that charges $50,000, that's getting crazy.
Yeah.
We can't afford you anymore. You're making so much money that working one-on-one is just out of reach for most people.
Yeah.
But we pay very well in the industry, our coaches, not that matters right now for this conversation. But if you look at what the industry pays, most people pay script readers. Like, we're going to go through the workbook now and, check the boxes. And it's like a $12, $15 an hour gig to be a coach. And they hire people and burn through them. Not so here. It's
if you're going to keep good ones. Yeah, for sure.
No. So we pay them well. And so something to keep on the radar as your time frees up and start to share your life experiences with new students coming through. I love it, man. Well, anything else on your mind before we start to wrap this one up? I think this was a great episode. We drifted around quite a bit, but I loved it.
We touched on everything from everything. So I appreciate it. I mean, my whole goal was to honestly get on here and just let people know in 3 months, I never even bought a thing on Amazon. I always wanted to go and touch the item, feel the item, never had anything online. Mm-hmm. And with the drive and motivation, you can do it, and you just can't give up. I mean, all the tools, all you need is RevSeller and Keepa, and you're gonna be fine.
I promise I did not pay this guy to say any of this stuff today because you're like an infomercial for the stuff that we talk about around here. But it works.
You say to a T. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's what the people who are successful are doing. You just follow it to a T, and it's right there.
Just yesterday we passed 1,000 success stories in our Facebook group, success posts, I should say, from people who hop in and go, "Hey guys, just had a record-setting month," or "Hey, I just started a couple months ago, and look, I'm at $15,000 or $20,000 in sales." And so 1,000 of those. That's significant. They're fairly recent. We haven't had a Facebook group. We've had it for several years now, but certainly not the full 20 years that I've been doing this. It's much more than that. But so that's a milestone. Just past 66,000 members in that community.
And it's all word of mouth, right? All people telling people.
Yeah. And I'm starting to hear more and more from people in the industry going, "Jim, you're freaking nuts, dude," because I've never put any money into marketing and it's just all word of mouth. It's all organic. I'll just, hey, if it works, tell somebody, kind of like I'm saying right now. Hey, send someone to silentjim.com if you like what I'm saying now. That's it. That's our marketing,
It brings the right people though, too, like me, who just want to make a difference or want to learn from, what you have to offer, which is great.
Yeah. Well, you've done most of the work. We provided the formula. And you've done the work. So kudos to you, man. It truly is a significant accomplishment. I don't care what your background or experience is. One of the interviews that I did here just a couple of days ago was someone, they've been in pastoral ministry their whole life. They're like, "I don't know anything about numbers, business, nothing, just like, clueless." And they built a beautiful business. It's, if you're ready to pay attention and be serious and do the work, this stuff works. It's that simple. And something I love about it too, Kyle, is we're not talking about investing tens of thousands of dollars and hoping it works out later, or months and months and months learning new technical skills. It's a few dollars.
Absolutely.
Right? Now you went in a little harder, a little faster, but even there, it's nothing compared to, say, like buying a franchise, right?
Absolutely.
$1,000.
You can start it at whatever amount of money you want, but Amazon, you're right. Anyone can do it. $1,000, $500, whatever. It can be an income stream.
Yep. Beautifully said. Well, I'm going to talk to the listeners for just a second, Kyle. Been cool hanging out with you, man. As we wrap this one up, I just want to make sure the listeners realize a couple things. One is, like I said, we don't do any marketing, don't spend any advertising dollars. So if you've enjoyed this episode today, we would really appreciate if you'd send a few friends to silentjim.com and say, "Hey, check out this podcast." That's how we find new great candidates for our coaching program, for our courses, the Proven Amazon course, that sort of thing. Leave a review if you don't mind. We love that too. That helps spread the word as well. We truly appreciate that. And the last thing is, if you're watching us on YouTube right now, you need to realize that most of our episodes are audio only, meaning you're missing out on a lot if you just kind of scroll through our videos. Go back and see several great guests who have been on, or hear several great guests who've been on our show who really didn't want to turn the video cameras on, but they had incredible stories to share. So go to silentjim.com for all that. Subscribe there, and you won't miss a show that way. But to all the business building warriors out there like Kyle, all the dads who want to come home, all the single moms out there trying to make ends meet, all the people who have a dream in their heart to get away from that grind, man, we are here for you. We want to see you succeed. We're about so much more than just Amazon. We're about using the internet creatively to launch and grow the business of your dreams. We see it happen all the time around here. So God bless all the business building warriors. We're praying for you. We're in your corner. We want to see this work for you. Let us know how we can help. We'll have another great episode for you again real soon. Talk to you then. Thanks, Kyle.